Hi guys, it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be my August reading wrap up, and these are the books that I finished in the month of August. I have technically 8 books, but I only finished 7 in August. If you guys watched my July reading wrap up, sorry, I forgot what month it was. I did mention there that I was reading a book that I didn't think I was going to be able to finish before the month ended, so I did my wrap up. But I happened to finish it on July 31st. So technically, I have 8 books here, but one of them was finished in July, but after my wrap up. I hope that makes sense. I'll let you guys know which book that is when I talk about that book. So the first book that okay, statistics before I forget. I did not complete any more letters for the Reading A to Z challenge. I have 6 letters left. I believe it's F, N, R, U, Y, and Z. I think those are the 6 letters that I have left. I'll try to put it in the description box so you guys know which ones I'm missing. And then my reading goal for 2020 was to read 75 books, but because of this whole pandemic thing, I was able to meet it. Last month I was at 72. And since I read 8 books this month, of course, I went over. I went ahead and I increased my reading goal now to 100 books, which I think I can make it. And I think maybe by October or November, I can increase it a little bit more and maybe read maybe like 115. I don't know. My goal right now is 100, so we'll see if the situation right now continues as it is. I'll probably increase it later on in a few months. But anyway, the first story that I want to talk to you guys about, and I say stories because I don't have it with me, and it is an Audible original story. Back when I was subscribed to Audible, I downloaded a bunch of like free stories because you get free Audible originals every month. And I had one there. And these are not in the order in which I read them, by the way. But anyway, I had that one there because I wanted to read something light and fluffy after reading some of the books that I have here on the pile. And that I read Once More Upon a Time, and let me try to make sense out of this story. So we follow a prince and a princess that met at each other's siblings' weddings. So let me explain. So the princess, her sister is rescued by the prince's brother. So they get married. And then because of the wedding, they meet at their siblings' weddings, and then they fall in love. So during the celebration, they're madly in love, they get married, but something happens and a curse falls on them, and the only way to save each other is if they take on the curse, and the curse is to fall out of love, but they have to stay together. So they fall out of love, and the story follows them as they try to break the curse. If they break the curse, they'll be able to fall in love with each other. And it's a cute story. It was super short. I think it was like 3.5, 4 hours long. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't like anything great out of this world, but it was a cute read to read after some of the other books that I read. So I enjoyed it. I think it's a good one. Then the next book that I want to talk to you guys about is Authority by Jeff Vandermeer. This is the second book in the Annihilation book. The follow-up to Annihilation. The trilogy is called The Southern Reach, and the Southern Reach is the area in which this story takes place. Annihilation was made into a movie with, what's her name? Natalie Portman. I couldn't remember her name. It was made with her, and it was really good. It's kind of weird. Unfortunately, this book, oh man, I was really bored, and I feel like nothing happened. We'll see what the third book is. I do own it, but in this book we follow Control, and these books people don't have names. They're just like, they're named after what they do. Well, this guy does have a name, something Rodriguez, John Rodriguez, but most of the book he is referred to as Control, and he is doing an investigation. He's conducting an investigation of the events that happened in Annihilation, because nobody knows what the heck happens inside the Area X. So we follow him in the story, and this book was, like I said, really boring. And it gets interesting towards the end of the book, which is the only reason why I'm gonna read the third book. But yeah, most of the book is just kind of exploration and him trying to find out what exactly happened in Area X, and why the people that go into Area X, if they come back like all messed up. So that's what he's trying to investigate. We'll see what the third book is like, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more interesting. The thing is though that like Annihilation is maybe about like half of it, maybe 2/3 of it, and so this one's a bit longer than Annihilation. And then Acceptance is the third book, and it's bigger than this one, so I hope that it's not filled with just fluff that makes no sense and doesn't matter to the story. But we'll see. I only gave this one 3 stars, even though I didn't quite like it, but at least I finished it. Then I have Terry, The Accidental Beauty Queen, sorry, by Terry Wilson. And this book completes just one prompt of my Pop Sugar reading challenge, which is to read a book with a book on the cover, and you guys can see she has a book on top of her head. So in this book we follow 2 twins. What is her name? Jeannie and Charlotte. So Charlotte is our main character, and Jeannie is her twin sister, who is a beauty queen, and Charlotte is following her to she goes with her to her pageant competition. And the night before, Jeannie has an allergic reaction to something, and she like puffs up, and she's not presentable, right? But the thing is, nobody knows she has a twin sister. So Jeannie teaches Charlotte to become a beauty queen and compete while Jeannie gets better. I guess it's the competition lasts a few days, so she's hoping that in time she'll be able to recover and then take off from where Charlotte left off. So this is very reminiscent of Miss Congeniality, and even Charlotte says, like, when she's talking, she's making references to Miss Congeniality because she feels like Sandra Bullock in the movie. So it's very self-aware that it's just kind of like not a rip-off, but it's very similar to Miss Congeniality. And I watched them after reading this book. I watched the movie because it just made me wanna watch the movie. So it was a really cutesy read. I think I gave it 3 or 4 stars. I don't remember. I read it super fast. It has a cute little romance. Not really much of a conflict. The little conflict that you do see gets resolved right away. There's really no consequences for anything. But it was a fun read. I enjoyed it. Then, sorry about that. Then I read Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. This is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, and I only gave this one 3 stars, unfortunately. I am what is it called? Unpopular opinion here, because I did not enjoy this book. I really enjoyed the first book, Daughter of Smoke and Bone, which is kind of like opposite. People tend to really hate that book and then love the rest of the series, but I was really bored, unfortunately. Like the middle of the book, oh man, this is another one that maybe like the last third of the book, that's when it got interesting for me. Just felt really bored. Trigger warnings for sexual assault and rape for this one, just FYI if you haven't read it. I do own the 3rd book, but we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, it left on a really good ending, so hopefully the 3rd book will be really good. But overall, like I said, I only gave it 3 stars. This is a fantasy story that deals with angels and demons and reincarnation and all that good stuff. And maybe I'm not explaining it like it sounds very fun, but the first book is really good. Like I said, a lot of people don't like the first book and then like this one, but I'm the opposite. So I don't know, take my opinions with a grain of salt, I guess. Then I read a nonfiction book. It's been a while since I read nonfiction, and I read the book of Esther, A Woman of Strength and Dignity by Charles Swindoll. I have read 3 other ones. I think I read Job, Jacob, and Daniel. I think those are the 3 ones that I've read. And so I read Esther. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. Maybe I'm being biased, but I really love the story of Esther from the Bible. And it was just a nice kind of like a biographical study into her life. The story of Esther is basically a kind of like rags to riches story. She is married off to a wealthy king who in turn wants to something happens and he wants to kill the Jews, but he doesn't know that she is Jewish, but he is so in love with her. And Esther, towards the end, she knows when to interfere and and save the Jews from what the king, or what other people want the king to do to the Jewish people. She's just very, very brave, very strong, and I just love the story of Esther. So I would highly recommend you guys to read this one. Then I finished the Dark Artificers series. I read the Lord of Shadows and Queen of Darkness. Lord of Shadows is the book that I finished towards the end of July. So this one I literally finished it July 31st. So yeah, there was no way I was going to be able to film the wrap up before the month ended. But yeah, anyway, I read the second one. And the third one is Queen of Air and Darkness. This was a reread. This wasn't. Like, if you guys didn't know, if this is the first wrap up you've been watching, I have been reading the whole Mortal Instrument, all of the Cassandra Clare books since the beginning of the year, because I wanted to read Queen of Air and Darkness, and I hadn't. I kind of had forgotten some of the details, so I started with City of Bones at the beginning of the year, and I've been working my way up. I really enjoyed this trilogy. Well, I enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I don't love it as much as other people do. Like the Infernal Devices, I absolutely love. Even though that is a prequel, and it was written after the Mortal Instruments, to me it feels like a solid trilogy with its own characters and its own plot, and it's held well together like a standalone story. This series, the Dark Artificers, to me feels like the B team. Like, I'm very aware, like these characters don't feel like their own characters. I feel like they're in the shadows of Clary and Jace and everybody that came before them. And I don't know, I don't love them as much as the other characters, which makes me worried, because Chain of Gold, I'm afraid I'm gonna feel the same way about Chain of Gold. Hopefully not, because we kind of go back in time with that series. But yeah, this series, it's kind of like a spin-off to the Mortal Instruments, and that's exactly how it feels. It feels like a spin-off. I don't know if you guys have ever watched like a show, Private Practice, for example. That's kind of like a spin-off from Grey's Anatomy, and I don't care for it. I just can't watch it. So anyway, I read them, I enjoyed them, but I don't love them as much as I do the other books, if that makes sense. And the last book that I read this month is Shamed by Linda Castillo. This is the 11th book, if I'm not mistaken. I officially read the whole series. I think I read like all 11 books in like 3 months. You guys tell me from my wrap-ups. But yes, this is the last one. The new one I haven't purchased yet. But anyway, we follow Kate Burkholder, who is the chief of police. It's kind of like an Amish community there. And in this one, we follow her doing an investigation on a child abduction case. All of our books are standalone stories, like they're good on their own. However, this one does make reference to something that happened, I want to say maybe 2 books ago, and she ties it in very nicely. I don't know if you have to read that book to enjoy this one. I really enjoyed it, but it did kind of like shock me that she made like something that happened back then in that story had consequences in this story. I was literally like, oh my god, and it took me back to like reading the other story. I really enjoyed her books. I don't remember the name of the last one that she just released. I don't remember it, but it's not on Book Outlet. I was able to buy all 11 of them from Book Outlet, not at once. Books on Book Outlet come and go. But yeah, I was able to purchase all of them there, and hopefully the 12th one will show up there sometime soon, and I'll be able to buy it because I really enjoy them. They're not super long books, but they are murder mystery type books. If you're into Law and Order, that kind of show, I think you will enjoy it a lot. But yeah, I truly enjoyed it. So there you have it, guys. Those are the books that I read for the month of August. I hope that in the month of September I can get another 8, maybe 9 books read. But I don't know, I started watching Scandal last month. I told you guys I was obsessed with How to Get Away with Murder. And after I finished that one, my sister's like, watch Scandal, you're really gonna like it. And I'm really into that show right now. Not as much as I was with How to Get Away with Murder, but it's still very interesting. I don't think anything will ever come close to How to Get Away with Murder, I was obsessed. I watched that, like all 6 seasons in about 2 weeks. That's how much I liked it. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me for today, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.